Fans are talking about Tasha K's recent drop nonstop, and the internet is currently in complete chaos. Tasha K says she has receipts, which is a startling new development that has the hip-hop and love communities in a frenzy. Actual DNA evidence that could reveal one of the most significant lies in the marriage between Mendeecees and Yandy. Everyone wants to know, and the streets of YouTube are ablaze with rumors. Was Mendeecees lying once more, or is this simply another uncontrollably crazy rumor? When Tasha K went live late yesterday night, she gave away that she had indisputable proof linked to a covert paternity test. Fans flocked to her channel after hearing her mysterious remarks, leaving comments flooded with questions and incredulous comments. She was referred to be a truth-teller by some, but others said she was inciting drama to get attention. However, there's no denying that Yandy's name is trending worldwide because to the accusations. There are now rumors that Yandy was taken by surprise and was unaware of these purported DNA findings until the information was made public. Insiders think this might be the moment that ultimately destroys their picture-perfect image, while sources close to the couple say tensions are at an all-time high. However, what is really happening behind the scenes? And is Mendeecees or Tasha K speaking the truth? From this point on, the narrative just becomes stranger. The instant Tasha, the love and hip-hop community as a whole, experienced a social media shockwave when K went live last night. As she hinted that she had documentation so indisputable they might upend a marriage, fans were riveted to their screens. Rumors and whispers started right away. While some anticipated a discovery that may completely alter the Yandy and Mendeecees tale, others thought it was just another theatrical ploy. The comment sections erupted with words ranging from incredulity to rage, and the tension was nearly palpable. Fans questioned if Mendeecees had really gone too far once again. Was Yandy going to locate the difficult way? According to insiders, the tension had been increasing for some months. Mendeecees has been remarkably reticent, avoiding interviews, removing tweets, and maintaining silence on social media, which stoked interest and suspicion. He said that when he believed no one was watching, his pals saw the tension on his face and the twitch in his hands. Yandy, who is usually composed, has been tweeting cryptic comments about loyalty, trust, and integrity, which many saw as subtle allusions to the purported scandal. Sometimes the truth is closer than you think, the caption of one Instagram story became the focal point of many fan disputes and ideas. The truth remained elusive, looming like a storm in the backdrop as everyone worked to piece it together, awaiting an attack. Tasha K claims that the DNA evidence she alluded to was more than a passing remark. Fans were left reeling once it was connected to a paternity test that purportedly implicated Mendeecees. She gave a hazy description of the evidence, saying that the screenshots, papers, and supporting testimony all suggested a tale that had been kept under wraps. Her smile simply added to the terrible anticipation as the crowd, unable to resist, barraged her live broadcast with questions. She sipped her drink and continued, "You'll see everything soon," allowing the tension to build up like a rubber band that is about to burst. The public was anxious to find out whether this indicated that Mendeecees had concealed another secret or that he had lied about a kid. And engagement skyrocketed due to conjecture alone. By using excerpts from Tasha's live session, bloggers and influencers swiftly disseminated the story on various platforms. Numerous timelines that alluded to previous love and hip-hop episodes, interviews, and social media postings that implied conflict between Mendeecees and another lady were reproduced. A few admirers remembered noticing little motions in earlier instances where Mendeecees seemed anxious, much like Jasmine did at spontaneous occasions. A rising mistrust was fueled by every little fact. Trending hashtags were Mendeecees' revelation of a Yandy justice and Jurassic receipts demonstrating the level of interest the internet community had in figuring out the tale. According to close friends, Yandy's response was a combination of bewilderment and circumspect reserve. According to reports, she spent hours blogging, thinking, and confiding exclusively in herself, rather of confronting Mendeecees right away. Closest partners. According to insiders, she struggled to maintain her poise in public, while confronting the alleged betrayal head-on. Fans scrutinized every word, every nuanced post she made on the internet. Pause, as well as every emoji. High. Interpretation varied from a subtle appeal for comprehension to a direct allusion to dishonesty. The seriousness of her feelings was evident to those who were observing. Her serene demeanor seemed to conceal a tempest of betrayal and heartache. The relationship between Yandy, Mendeecees, and Jasmine became the subject of many conversations. According to Tasha K., Jasmine had been communicating with Mendeecees for months, sending texts that alluded to emotional strain and concealment. Tasha explained the purported messages without giving away all the details, but they suggested a relationship that had been kept secret, even from Yandy. The audience was left wondering about timing and motivations, wondering whether this was a new problem or a reignited old one. Because of the story's ambiguity, followers were compelled to fill in the blanks with their own ideas, transforming social media into a courtroom, where each post, gesture, and video clip served as proof. A dot. Additionally, fans developed an obsession with little visual clues. A picture images of Jasmine sporting a certain bracelet went viral because some people thought it mirrored a chain or other item Mendeecees had been shown sporting in earlier episodes. In an attempt to uncover a glimmer of truth, the online community studied lighting, angles, and reflections. Even though there was no proof, the rumors alone kept the story going, and every new picture or post provoked a new round of criticism. A perfect storm for viral material was generated by the high stakes of personal connections, mystery, and suspected deceit. One source claims that when Yandy and a common acquaintance disclosed in a private chat that Yandy knew something was amiss, even though she didn't have all the information, the tension increased. According to reports, she inquired about late-night meetings, unforeseen calls, and mysterious absences, which all made her suspicious. Sources claim that Mendeecees made an effort to be normal in the meantime, by downplaying worries and maintaining lighthearted public encounters. Fans who kept tabs on every step online were able to speculate and argue the story because of the difference between the private strain and the public facade. In keeping with her penchant for creating drama, Tasha K. hinted that further details will be revealed shortly. Anticipation was heightened by her implication that more receipts and context were on the way. "We need proof. He can't get away with this," was one of the many comments left by viewers in response to the immediate reaction. And, "Yandy deserves the truth." The craze wasn't limited to the internet. Friends and uncertain if the leaks were real or the result of a publicity ploy, family members allegedly started chatting in private circles. As the story started to dominate entertainment news cycles and trend on various platforms, even casual fans of hip-hop and love couldn't help but be enthralled. Relationships outside of the primary trio were reportedly impacted by the purported fallout from the revelation. Yandy's friends voiced their worries and gave guidance. Although some fans, the atmosphere grew almost theatrical as possibilities. Of furious debates, passionate confrontations, and heartfelt admissions were conjectured regarding potential conflicts between Mendeecees and other cast members. The story illustrated the frailty of public personas when private affairs clash with social media scrutiny, loyalty being put to the test, and trust being betrayed. Whether confirmed or not, each rumor helped to create a plot that enthralled viewers like a serialized drama. Meanwhile, there was further conjecture over Jasmine's involvement. She has reportedly been avoiding social media, removing messages, and skipping public events, according to certain online groups. Others implied that she was seeking legal advice in order to shield herself from any criticism as the story developed. Tasha K was a key player in the continuing conversation because of her account of Jasmine's encounters with Mendeecees and her well-known background on reality TV. Viewers argued about intents, reasons, and the timing of said acts, resulting in a complicated web of interpersonal and emotional intrigue that kept viewers interested. When purported screenshots of chats with unclear content appeared, the situation escalated to a new level as followers scrutinized every word. Phrases like "this changes" and "we need to be careful, everything," which, depending on one's point of view, were examined incessantly and construed as either confirmation or pure coincidence. Whether confirmed or conjectural, every new piece of information became a topic for response videos, blog entries, and podcasts that analyzed the developing controversy. Audiences continued coming back to social media platforms because they were curious about what would be revealed next. According to reports, Yandy's pals made a secret attempt at mediation, urging her to ask Mendeecees personally for clarification. According to sources, the discussion was uncomfortable when it did happen, with sighs, pauses, and obvious emotional tension. Mendeecees reportedly refuted the most serious charges, trying to defend himself while negotiating the public hypertension that had increased unexpectedly. There was no denying the emotional stakes, and the account of the meeting gave fans more material for conjecture as they analyzed tone, body language, and word choice in an effort to uncover the truth. By carefully balancing tease and revelation, Tasha K kept the audience interested without going beyond and making statements that might raise ethical or legal issues. She made references to insider reports, enigmatic communications, and the chronology of previous incidents. That hinted to a secret story. The ensuing debate dominated entertainment forums, social media comment sections, and private group conversations as fans conjectured that these indications were cues to a larger plot. The narratives. As they attempted to piece together the intricacies, viewers were captivated for hours, if not days, by the intricacy and the possible emotional consequences. There were rumors that Mendeecees had taken action to keep the matter under wraps, contacting friends and relatives to handle perceptions while preserving his reputation. Some thought he was deliberately controlling his reputation, while others said he was trying to shield his kids from the emotional toll of what was happening. The blend of the situation was ideal for dramatic interpretations, because to the personal stakes and public scrutiny. Based on bits of information that were making the rounds online, fans imagined anything from passionate reconciliations to violent clashes. As the narrative gathered steam, the fan, blogger, and pundit community become more involved. Some sided with Yandy, supporting her fortitude in the face of treachery. Others argued about Mendeecees, thought his perspective had been misunderstood or disregarded. Absent or present, Jasmine came to represent mystery and intrigue. Every post or absence is examined for hidden, in other words, a fascinating story that was hard to ignore. An ideal for recurrent participation across several social media platforms was produced by the mix of secrecy, suspicion, and high emotional stakes. Viewers' feeling of urgency was heightened by Tasha K's constant hinting that there was more to come. As viewers attempted to make sense of the fresh accusations in light of previous episodes, social media postings, and insider accounts, the suspense was almost intolerable. A complicated tapestry of conjecture, interpretation, and emotional engagement was the end outcome. It transformed a single discovery into a complex tale with many facets. Rumors, gossip, and purported proof drove the drama. The strain did not lessen the day after. According to reports, Yandy had stepped away from public appearances to withdraw into quiet areas where she could cope with the shock. According to friends, she thought about the reported incident for hours. DNA evidence casting doubt on her own capacity to separate fact from fiction, as well as her husband's allegiance. During private discussions, she allegedly said, "I just need clarity before I react." This demonstrated the level of her internal conflict. However, fans saw her absence as a sign of betrayal and sadness, and they flooded social media with supportive words and conjectures about what would happen next in this intense drama. With each gesture and post, the intensity of the emotions demonstrated how deeply connected fans had grown, examined as if it contained a secret message. Mendeecees, meanwhile, had to strike a careful balance between his internal nervousness and his outward poise. According to insiders, he was extremely silent, often avoiding eye contact and stopping mid-conversation while talking about the problem. His acquaintances saw a change in his manner, a weightiness that stood in stark contrast to the self-assured image he usually presented. The purported DNA. Even little exchanges held a great deal of weight in the atmosphere generated by the disclosure and Tasha K's hints about further receipts. With the burden of continual public scrutiny, every choice, from which interviews to attend to what to post on social media, became a deliberate one. There was a growing complexity to the story of Jasmine. She had been purposefully reducing her social media profile, staying completely offline for extended periods of time, according to sources, in order to shield herself from the scrutiny of public rumors. According to reports, she confided in close friends that she was afraid of being misrepresented and was overwhelmed by the attention. In order to manage the possible ramifications and keep her side of the story under control, others said she had contacted legal counsel. As viewers looked for trends in her conduct that would suggest her participation in the purported scandal, the mix of secrecy and selective exposure only served to feed fan suspicions. The drama that developed was on Tasha K's live sessions. In one very heated broadcast, she outlined exchanges that suggested a high degree of emotional involvement but did not go into depth. She made references to intimate emotional messages, times of secrecy, and tensions that had been building without the public's knowledge. Fans responded right away, analyzing each emphasis and pause and using her remarks as a guide to unspoken realities. Viewers were more engaged and kept coming back for updates and commentary because of the anticipation that her selective revelations produced. Friends and relatives of both Yandy and Mendeecees allegedly joined in secret discussions to try to defuse the situation as rumors grew. Some promoted openness, arguing that publicly addressing the purported problems might avoid further misconceptions, while some cautioned against it, pointing to the possibility of misunderstandings and negative publicity. The conflicting viewpoints added another level of drama and demonstrated how, in the setting of reality TV, interpersonal connections and public opinion interact. Every private involvement seems to have an impact on fan interpretations and internet narratives. The reaction from the internet community was a combination of indignation, sympathy, and unrelenting interest. Social media platforms were overrun with material that examined past recordings, fan interviews, and postings in an effort to find indications of anguish, remorse, or unspoken relationships. Rapidly spreading theories suggested that Mendeecees had purposefully withheld information, while some contended that the circumstances had been inflated, misconstrued. Bits of purported proof that Tasha K released added to the excitement, and her reputation for revealing behind-the-scenes information gave the rumors more weight. Reports of altercations between Yandy and Mendeecees started to circulate. According to insiders, private conversations were heated, with many pauses, tears, and unanswered questions. Witnesses recounted scenes that were almost theatrical in their intensity, with the weight of unresolved emotions hanging heavy in the air. A fresh dimension was introduced by the purported DNA evidence. Fans created a story that went beyond recorded events into the domain of emotional imagination by imagining conversations, confrontations, and reconciliations with each word, gesture, and silence understood as a clue. The mystery about Jasmine's disappearance persisted. She had reportedly been lodging with close family members or in places that provided seclusion from the increasing scrutiny. According to some internet theorists, her limited strategic visibility preserved her reputation while enabling the tale to develop. Each little item was examined for hidden significance or confirmation of the purported tale, making her presence or absence a crucial aspect in fan conjecture due to the mix of mystery, possible legal issues, and emotional depth. Personal connections, public opinion, and social media dynamics were all impacted by the purported consequences. Groups of fans formed factions. While some backed Yandy, praising her fortitude and tenacity, others focused on Mendeecees, challenging the veracity of the assertions and highlighting the significance of perspective. As a key yet mysterious character, Jasmine came to represent the ambiguity and emotional strain that characterized the narrative. The relationship between confidentiality, the public's ravenous curiosity combined with their perception of betrayal, produced a feedback loop that increased engagement and sustained the story across many media. Tasha K made frequent allusions to further details as the days went by, implying that more proof and understanding were on the way. As a result of the excitement, viewers went back to previous programs, interviews, and postings to look for background information and validation. Fans conducted in-depth research, analyzing interactions, comparing timeframes, and comparing purported private conversations with public appearances. As viewers devoted time and energy to attempting to piece together the developing drama, the community's commitment and passion mirrored the story's emotional impact. Dramatic folding. According to reports, Yandy's friends tried to resolve the situation by urging her to ask Mendeecees for clarification directly. According to sources, these exchanges are sensitive and need tolerance, empathy, and the need of handling delicate subjects with caution. Insiders claim that Mendeecees interacted gingerly, striking a balance between candor and the need to remain composed in the face of heightened public scrutiny. The difficulty of the stakes were raised by interpersonal relationships and the possible repercussions of public exposure, making every encounter both emotionally charged and significant. In response, the internet community offered analysis, conjecture, and criticism, resulting in a complex story that went beyond the people involved. Engaged. Social media users successfully co-created the narrative as it developed by exchanging hypotheses, debating reasons, and speculating about potential consequences. Each new comment, clue, or post ignited waves of conversation, enhancing the drama's viral potential and guaranteeing that viewers stayed interested and emotionally committed. There was a general feeling of anticipation because of Tasha K's calculated clues regarding upcoming revelations. In pursuit of updates and hints, viewers kept returning to her social media streams and channels. A mix of vague remarks, fragmentary disclosures, and the inherent human interest in scandal, especially when it included well-known people, kept the story moving forward. Numbers from reality TV. Fans were actively engaged in analyzing and speculating about events because of the constant cycle of engagement caused by the expectation of more information. Interactions with other members of the Love and Hip Hop cast were also reportedly strained. Insiders detailed discrete conflicts during joint appearances, including periods of obvious uneasiness, circumspect speech, and cautious balancing of public and private identities. The public's unrelenting attention, possible deceit, and underlying tension combined to produce a dramatic background that affected conduct, perception, as well as the creation of stories. Every interaction served as fuel for conjecture, solidifying the narrative in viewers' minds. Jasmine's stated actions to uphold privacy highlighted the difficulties in handling private affairs in the face of heightened public scrutiny. Selective communications, restricted public appearances, and calculated social media use demonstrated an understanding of the risks and possible consequences of unguarded disclosures. Different fans have different interpretations of these activities. The subjective nature of internet interpretation and the exaggeration of perceived relevance in the context of celebrity drama are highlighted by the fact that some people see them as proof of collaboration, while others see them as protective measures. While Tasha K persisted in the relationship between secrecy, emotional strain, and public conjecture became more intense as the tale was teased. In order to create a dynamic and changing story that went beyond verified facts into a larger tapestry of presumed motives, connections, and intents, fans examined interactions, cross-referenced postings and consequences. Uncertainty, significant stakes, and emotional resonance all worked together to guarantee spectators continued interest and conversation as they awaited the next chapter in an already intricate and engrossing story. As the plot progressed, the drama appeared to intensify, with insiders asserting that the tension between Mendeecees and Yandy had started to influence their public personas and everyday activities. According to sources, Yandy had been going on lengthy walks by himself, often lost in contemplation, which was indicative of the weight of the purported DNA evidence and the possible treachery that had everyone's attention. Her friends characterized her as quiet, reserved, and very reflective, a sharp contrast to the lively personality that admirers had become used to. She allegedly said in private discussions, "I don't even know who to trust anymore." This underscored the mental pressure she was under as social media erupted in gossip and conjecture. Mendes nonetheless had to deal with the difficulty of remaining calm in the face of growing fan and media attention. According to insiders, he started being especially cautious with his public remarks, tailoring each phrase to avoid confirmation or denial, but yet seeming interested and reacting. Online rumors about his guilt and complicity were stoked by onlookers who saw minor changes in his body language, brief displays of uneasiness, and an unusual reluctance in his interactions at social engagements and charitable functions. Fans and bloggers alike analyzed every grin, look, and pause, adding levels of interpretation to an already complex story. Discussions about Jasmine's involvement in the scandal persisted. According to reports, she had been purposefully restricting her public appearance to escape the media frenzy. Others have suggested that she has been traveling or lodging with family members to preserve her privacy. Supporters conjectured about her reasons, perceiving her absence as either a sign of real anguish or a calculated maneuver to avoid being implicated. Some social media users made an effort to connect previous postings and photos to the chronology of said encounters with Mendeecees, weaving a complex web of conjecture that made it difficult to distinguish between verified information and irrational conjecture. The possible consequences of the DNA disclosure, the imagined emotional conflict, and the concealment Jasmine is a topic of conversation and analysis on the internet. Fans mostly used Tasha K's live sessions as the prism through which they viewed events, and her commentary continued to dominate the narrative. She made hints about fresh receipts and unspoken information that would make the tale even more complex and tense for viewers. In one broadcast, she spoke of intimate conversations when emotions were running high, suggesting that Mendeecees, Yandy, and Jasmine's encounters were tense and full of unsolved disputes. Speculating on the meaning of these signals, the emotional stakes, and the consequences for all parties, viewers reacted right away. Fans returned because of the excitement generated by Tasha's selective revelations, regularly for updates and fresh perspectives. According to reports, friends and relatives made an effort to settle the conflict behind the scenes in an effort to provide Mendeecees and Yandy comfort and direction. According to insiders, conversations were difficult and often interspersed with emotional pauses as family members negotiated the intricacies of public opinion, loyalty, and trust. While some called for complete openness, others cautioned that revealing too much information too soon may worsen the situation and further polarize public opinion. The tale was further complicated by these private interventions, which brought to light the challenge of striking a balance between intimate connections and the close scrutiny of reality TV viewers. Reactions on the internet were strong and diverse. In an effort to spot any indications of dishonesty, distress, or ulterior motives, fans closely examined each post, video, and appearance. While some users defended Mendeecees, highlighting his actions, others contended that his actions implied guilt, the intricacy of interpersonal relations, and the possibility of misunderstandings. Though mostly hidden from the public eye, Jasmine became the focus of interest as hypotheses about her goals, emotional condition, and participation spread on social media. A feedback loop that increased engagement and sustained the story was produced by the interaction of concealment, perception, and conjecture. Insider reports of altercations between Yandy and Mendeecees becoming more intense indicated the private discussions were tense and emotionally intense. There was a noticeable sense of drama in the accounts, which included silent pauses, tears, and unsaid queries. The purported DNA evidence added with every gesture and emotion examined for significance, these exchanges take on a new depth. Fans created a story that went beyond what was officially recorded and into the realm of conjecture and emotional interpretation by imagining conversations, disputes, and efforts at reconciliation. The difficulties of handling private issues in the spotlight were highlighted by Jasmine's stated efforts to preserve her privacy. By restricting her visibility, managing her communications, she seemed to be handling the situation's emotional and reputational components by using social media sparingly. Although guarded, this strategy also encouraged internet conjecture and speculation as viewers tried to decipher her behavior and uncover unspoken facts. Dramatic narrative and fan interaction were made possible by the tension that resulted between exposure, privacy, and perception. As the story progressed, insiders and allies exchanged contradictory reports, enhancing the story's intricacy. While several highlighted persistent uncertainties, misunderstandings, and continuous emotional stress, others spoke of private conversations, reconciliation, and efforts to regain trust. Audiences were kept interested and unsure of the final result by the feeling of uncertainty this duality produced. Every new story, rumor, or disclosure added to the puzzle and strengthened the feeling that the drama was still unresolved. The drama had not yet been settled. By implying further discoveries and highlighting the story's emotional impact, Toshiki's well-timed teasers continued to influence viewer expectations. She kept the tension up and promoted further participation. In search of updates, viewers went back to her channels, analyzing her remarks for hints and hidden meanings. The expectation of additional details sparked an ongoing cycle of analysis, conjecture, and increased interest, guaranteeing that the story would continue to be a major talking point on social media and in fan groups. Complicating matters further was the purported effect on professional commitments and public appearances. According to insiders, Yandy and Mendeecees were carefully considering their schedule choices in an effort to balance their private and public lives. Participation in activities and interactions with other cast members were characterized as measured and careful, illustrating the need to strike a balance between prudence and visibility. Every public interaction was closely examined with viewers analyzing timing, facial expressions, and gestures to see if they were signs of dishonesty or truth. There was still a lot of fan interaction as fans shared theories, examining chronologies, and creating stories with incomplete data. As fans tried to put together a cohesive plot from scattered evidence, social media evolved into a forum for group research. The amount and intensity of postings, comments, and shared information demonstrated the audience's intense interest in the drama that was developing and its possible effects on relationships, reputations, and the reality television industry as a whole. According to reports, private discussions remained crucial in influencing choices. Family members and friends served as go-betweens, offering advice on how to handle any conflicts and on when and how to communicate. Insiders highlighted the tricky balance between discretion and openness, highlighting the delicate balancing act needed to control one's mental health and public image. The impression that the story was intricate and nuanced was bolstered by these behind-the-scenes exchanges, which added levels of mystery. There was a feeling of mystery and expectation because of Jasmine's persistent absence and restricted communication. Her behavior, which was seen in many ways as protective, strategic, or a sign of emotional discomfort, became the center of attention. For debate and conjecture. By dissecting little facts, going over previous exchanges, and formulating speculative possibilities, fans successfully co-created the plot as it developed and maintained interest. Interest was strong, and the story kept developing because of the conflict between obvious action, implied reasons, and audience interpretation. Every action, every message, and every silence appeared to have enormous importance at this stage in the plot. According to insiders, Yandy was actively absorbing the purported disclosures despite her reserved manner. Talking solely to those closest to her, she apparently reflected on the events, wrote in her notebook for many hours, and considered her choices for both private confrontations and public remarks. Her pals explained she was seen as both resilient and fragile, which highlighted the human cost of dealing with personal issues under the constant spotlight of the public. Her social media activity changed somewhat as fans noticed. Brief further conjecture was stoked by reflective subtitles, a move toward subdued graphics, and a noticeable decline in playful interaction. Mendeecees persisted in striking a careful balance between his emotional agony and outward poise. His cautious word choice throughout interviews and live appearances to avoid confirming or rejecting details revealed that he was well aware of how each contact may be construed, according to sources. Companions saw that he was acting more defensively and displaying obvious symptoms of stress, including prolonged pauses, restrained grins, and careful attention to body language. Tasha K's pledge of more revelations and the purported DNA proof created a climate where even ordinary encounters held significant ramifications, escalating both personal and popular unrest. Jasmine's story was still mysterious. Sources claim that she had been keeping a low profile, staying out of the public eye and using social media sparingly. According to several sources, she was seeking advice from legal counsel. Fans conjectured about her intentions in light of the ramifications of the continuous rumors, with some seeing her absence as a sign of emotional suffering, and others as a calculated move. Theories ranging from defensive tactics to covert efforts at narrative control flourished because of the uncertainty surrounding her conduct. Every little detail, remark, or message was examined for significance, giving depth to a narrative already full of intrigue and emotional intricacy. The drama persisted because of Tasha K's continuing participation. Fans were kept interested by her mysterious social media postings and live feeds, implying more receipts and unreported exchanges that may make matters more complicated. She spoke of very emotional, private, and unresolved conflict-filled interactions during one session, depicting a tense and resentful love triangle with veiled complaints. The audience responded immediately, searching for hints in every phrase, pause, and accent. Increased involvement is shown by the anticipation generated by Tasha K's chosen revelations. With viewers coming back time and time again for according to reports, there were continuing private interventions by friends and family in an effort to ease tensions and provide direction, as well as updates and conjecture over the next step. These conversations, according to insiders, were emotionally intense and included tears, quiet pauses, and frank observations. While some promoted patience and moderation, stressing the need of carefully addressing delicate matters, others urged direct confrontation to clear up misconceptions. Behind-the-scenes work like this adds additional layer to the narrative, showing how interpersonal connections and public scrutiny overlap, with each choice being open to interpretation and condemnation from outside sources. Fans avidly analyzed social media posts, videos, and interviews as online responses became more intense. Users successfully co-created the story as it developed by exchanging hypotheses, examining timeframes, and debating the veracity of purported proof. The enthusiasm was evident on many platforms, as response videos multiplied, hashtags trended, and podcasts with episodes devoted to theater analysis. The story's visibility and perceived importance were further increased by the audience's emotional investment in negotiating the conflict between belief, doubt, and conjecture. There were ongoing rumors of altercations and heated discussions between Mendeecees and Yandy. According to insiders, there were times when conversations were broken up by pauses, thoughtful quiet, and obvious signs of emotional stress. Another level of intricacy was introduced by the purported DNA evidence. Fans filled in the gaps left by a lack of public information by combining recorded occurrences with speculative tales, interpreting every gesture and expression for significance and conjuring up scenarios of confrontation, confession, and attempted reconciliation. Subtle tension, circumspect speech, and cautious handling of public personalities were all signs of the strain in encounters with other members of the love and hip-hop group. These exchanges, which were seen as indications of uneasiness or collusion, helped to the impression of a broad, interrelated drama. Every interaction served as material for conjecture, which increased the intricacy of the story and the stakes for the participants' emotions. The combination of individual and because of the unpredictable nature of public dynamics, audiences remained interested and passionately involved in the result. As the story went on, the interaction between perception, concealment, and conjecture continued to be crucial. Every little disclosure or vague remark provoked heated debate among supporters, making an effort to construct a logical chronology from sparse and sometimes incongruous data. The suspense was maintained by expecting further revelations from Tasha K., which promoted continued participation and ongoing evaluation. The development of the story, influenced by both recorded occurrences and fan interpretation, represented the powerful fusion of human curiosity with controversy, celebrity scrutiny, and emotional resonance. In the end, the narrative came to a point where responsibility, clarity, and conclusion were still elusive. The roles that Yandy, Mendeecees, and Jasmine played were characterized by secrecy, conjecture, as well as emotional strain. Tasha K., however, served as the impetus, directing the audience and shaping the story. Interpretation. The intense emotional content, intricate interpersonal relationships, and elevated stakes produced a story that made it difficult to distinguish between entertainment, perception, and reality, maintaining involvement, and making certain that followers were enthralled with each new step. The consequences of the activities that were taking place went beyond interpersonal relationships, impacting media coverage, public opinion, and conversation on social media. Reaction videos, popular themes, and hashtags spread, demonstrating the story's wide-ranging influence and the audience's intense interest in the characters and the speculative story. Every new appearance, comment, or post was examined for hints and evaluated using theof, mistrust, or encouragement, and incorporated into the larger discourse that surrounded the developing drama that around the drama that was developing. In this setting, fans took an active role in creating meaning and determining intent. The intricacy of the story, together with the selective revelations and unclear actions, created an environment where speculation, emotional involvement, and participation were all linked. Each and every perceived gesture, post, or exchange had meaning, which strengthened the narrative's momentum and made sure that the ongoing events continued to be a major point of conversation. The strain became so great that even little changes, things like fleeting social media posts or informal comments made during appearances, might rekindle discussion and conjecture. According to insiders, Mendeecees and Yandy were both well aware of the possible consequences of their conduct, judiciously regulating appearances, remarks, and exchanges to preserve poise when handling personal and public anticipations. The ensuing drama, heightened by media attention and fan interaction, produced an ongoing